Guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. I have a very special, what is it, like the 5th time guest on the channel here, Jake? I don't know, man. It's getting up there.
Yeah, man, it's been a while.
You're a regular, though. You're a regular. We love having you on, dude. And today, we have you on because you are the people's champ, man. You were the MVP for Team USA in CR Worlds. We're going to get into that match, get into the deck that you used. But before we do any of that, I have to ask you probably the most pressing question that we're going to get to in today's video. And that is, will you step up to take on Marcel P, man? He's won 6 Pro vs. Pros in a row now. I don't know if he can be beaten.
He's a savage. He's really good.
Are you the man to do it?
I'll try my best.
All right, so you'll take him on, though.
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
I'm looking forward to it. I like Marcel a lot.
Yeah, dude, he's one of the best guys. I actually heard you on your stream talking about how good of a guy he was, and it really resonated with me too, about you and him, really. But just like one of the top players who really are such a genuine, positive, and really good example, role model for people out there as well.
Yeah, for me, it's not just about being like. I like people in the community that are also extremely nice, along being with a really good player. So Marcel is just a really stand-up guy. Always has been respectful on Twitter and everything, and like he's just like the epitome of what everyone should like strive to be. He is that guy.
Totally agree with you, man. Totally agree with you. One of my favorite guys. So you're gonna kick his butt, and then you'll be the new pro to beat. Maybe we'll see. But
we'll see.
If you did have to face him, would you be using the deck that we're here to discuss today? That is the Minor Poison Cycle deck.
It's one of my stronger decks. I would definitely have to consider switching things up. I don't want to be too predictable against him.
Okay. All right. That's cool. Well, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the first replay while you tell us about the deck and stuff. But first off, you haven't always been known as a minor cycle player or a minor control player or a minor player at all. Like, when I used to think tag, I thought maybe like graveyard. You were always kind of a jack of all trades. But when did you pick up minor cycle? And when do you think was there a point where you just were like, oh my God, I'm really good with this deck? Was there like that point, or did it happen like slowly, like an evolution?
I mean, when I find a deck that I like a lot, I'll grind a ton of games to get extremely good at it, realize all the situations that I need to improve on. And minor control, at least for me, it's one of the most fun decks. So it really was easy for me to grind a whole bunch of games with. And that's a suggestion that I have for everyone. If you find a deck that you like a lot, it's going to be easier for you to play the deck and learn it and become better with it. And it was a gradual process, but I saw B-Rad do extremely well with it, and I wanted to learn it because it was obviously proven to be a great deck. All I had to do was put in the time to get there.
Absolutely. And did B-Rad help coach you? B-Rad is, by the way, just a side note here, a little bit of a sticky subject for me because, first of all, phenomenal player, probably one of the best well-known minor players out there. And maybe up until you won that match in CR Worlds. But he doesn't want to come on the channel, and I totally understand why, because he just does not want his deck to become super popular or people to learn how to counter it because he loves it so much. Did he help like mentor you with the deck at all, or?
Yeah, if I ever had any questions about a loss or anything that I wasn't able to figure out, he was always there for me. He's a great guy. He's also part of the Nova team. We just started up Nova team, and it's been a great time. We have a really solid pro team coming out from Nova with B-Rad, Jigsaw, myself, Lucifer, Adam, Mini Mentor. All these guys are really coming together. Batman, Ace, like it's incredibly solid, and yeah,
awesome. It's so good players there. It's like a who's who of top players.
Everyone there, especially B-Rad, has been helping me whenever I ever have a question or anything. It's a great environment.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit? We're going to talk about the deck, guys, don't worry. But can you tell us a little bit about the process of, maybe kind of where you are when you started with this deck? And is it just a matter of like learning how to handle every matchup? Or is it more of just a kind of a sixth sense of how to use the deck without even thinking about it? If that makes sense.
There's definitely some general tips that you're going to have to learn when you're playing the deck. One of the biggest things is not to be too aggressive with minors and not to be too aggressive without knowing what your opponent has. Like, you can't really cycle Knight against Expo. If you cycle Knight too early on and your opponent has Expo, you're generally going to lose the game because you don't have a reliable tank against Expo. If you decide to go for an adventurous like Electro Wizard Knight push, and then they end up just defending with Skarmy and then drop a free Lava Hound and you're not able to punish the opposite lane, you're going to lose. So there's things that you pick up on, and there's a lot of things that you're going to lose a game immediately because of one mistake, and then you're going to realize that you can't do that anymore. And that's the best way of learning, in my opinion. This deck is really good at teaching you that. If you make one mistake, you're done. Yeah. And that's one of the biggest things for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to talk about the actual deck now. And for folks out there too, just to let you know, I'll include this link, but you're definitely going to want to check out Tag's YouTube video that he did on that match in the finals. So that match, it was 4-4. You came through with a huge victory. Can you kind of paint a picture of what things were like going into that match before you picked up the victory there?
Yeah, so right before that, we saw Hawk Cooper get hard countered and play extremely well. He ended up losing 0-2, and the chat was extremely negative, saying USA is not doing so well. So the pressure was on. I was scared, to say the least. And I ended up losing the first game to Lava Loon because I made one mistake. I cycled Baby Dragon instead of Electro Wizard at one point, and Electro Wizard would have maybe helped me. I still might have lost, but it was a close game, and he played really well. The next two games, I faced probably the hardest possible counters for my deck. Three Musketeers, Heal, Minion Horde, plus Battle Ram, and I ended up pulling it out. And I played flawlessly, and he threw in a few mistakes. But the second game, I played flawlessly, and I won. And I figured he would go on to go to play Lava Loon. And Minor Poison is generally pretty good against Lava Loon because he's had success with Lava Loon the first game. I thought he was going to do it again, so I went for Minor Poison, and he ended up going with an even harder counter variant with Minion Horde, Antio, and took out Goblin Gang and put in Minion Horde, and
Ouch.
Yeah, it was scary because he dropped three Musketeers in one lane at the start and did like 1,500 damage.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I was down Elixir, I was down everything, and I came back, and that's the one great thing about playing three Musketeer decks right now, because you guys, people playing Minor Poison against Three Musketeers, never be afraid if they're running the Battle Ram variant. If you're down at like 300, even 400 HP, you can come back and win if you play perfectly, because they don't have direct damage. They're really going to have to like log you out or something.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Don't I know it? I love Three Musketeers right now, and Minor Poison is a difficult matchup if you go against someone who really knows what they're doing. So we're going to talk about, some of the things that you just kind of hit on. One of the things was you were at an Elixir disadvantage. You were down early in the match. We want to talk about how you handle these deficits and where your mind is at throughout the course of a match. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, talk to us just about the deck. Just give us a brief overview. We really haven't covered even the cards inside the deck. Why don't we start with what's a good sub for eWiz if folks don't have eWiz?
It would have to be Musketeer. As we saw before in, I believe it was ALE's deck, Ale's deck. He used Musketeer for great success in grand challenges. It still works. I would recommend Musketeer for sure.
Okay, and Log?
Log, it's rough, but I would potentially suggest like Zap and then maybe Fire Spirits in replacement of Ice Spirit or something. It's possible. Like, it's just a little bit harder,
Yeah, certainly not ideal. Okay, so tell us about the philosophy of this deck. Is it obviously it's not as heavy as a minor control deck, but it's really fast to cycle cards. Yeah. What is the general philosophy of this deck in terms of, are you being aggressive? Are you being more passive? Talk us through maybe the first 2 minutes and then into double Elixir time.
Okay, so generally, like at the start of each match, I'm going to be feeling out my opponent. I'm not really going to be wanting to drop my Knight extremely early on, generally. I don't really want to be cycling Minor. Ideally, what I would want to be cycling is either Ice Spirit or Skeletons, see my opponent's first few cards, recognize what they're doing, and then adjust to what they have. For example, if I see an Ice Golem, if I see a Mega Minion, I'm going to be thinking, okay, there's an Ice Golem. That means it could either be Graveyard or it could be Expo. If I see a Mega Minion, the things that go through my mind are tank decks like Golem, Lava Hound, or maybe Expo. in each situation, you want to save different cards. If it's graveyard, I want to be saving my knight. I don't really want to be cycling my knight because knight is really good against graveyard. You're generally going to have to either go for, if they have a tank for their graveyard, you're going to have to go for skeletons plus knight or knight plus log to clear it up completely. If they have like a tank deck like Lava Hound, you have to be wanting to save like Electro Wizard because you want to be saving Electro Wizard, you want to be saving Inferno and Ice Spirit. Generally, the Ice Spirit's really key against the balloon, always locking it in place. And it's just the deck overall, if I had to characterize it, it's extremely adaptable. And because you're playing a control variation of a deck, by definition, you have to adapt to each of your opponent's decks. You're not applying the pressure for the most part. I guess to go back to your earlier question about if this deck is ever aggressive, it could be aggressive in very specific situations, like against the Zapate deck with just Ice Spirit, Princess, and no Hog Rider, because that deck can't really apply very much pressure besides like rocketing your tower, Princesses at the bridge, and or like Goblin Barrels. Like they're not actually gonna drop a miner or a Hog Rider that's gonna go directly towards your buildings. Everything else can be like distracted. So it's really deck dependent, honestly.
Okay, and that's good advice too for really anybody using any deck out there. Is, you know, you really hit on really one of the best tips out there, especially defensively, is, you know, if you can identify what the opponent's deck is early, you just need to hold your best counters for it, no matter what deck you're playing, you know, even if you're playing an aggressive deck, you know. So that's really important that you mentioned that. What about the... talk about a little bit about Minor Poison. You know, are you mainly using Minor Poison mostly in double elixir time, or what circumstances are you going to go in with an aggressive Minor Poison in the first 2 minutes, say?
So I would never really go for more Minor Poison in double or in single elixir at the start. Like as an opening play, it's only something that I would do against like if they throw down a pump. Every other circumstance, Minor Poisoning a tower for tower damage at the start is kind of unreliable because you're not going to really know their exact cards. I like doing it in double elixir first off because it's a 7 elixir commitment, which is only really damaging the tower if you don't catch something. You will know their card order by then. You'll be able to make a prediction. Like if you're playing against Zapate, you'll know, hey, like he has Night in Cycle, so I'm not going to poison. He has Goblin Gang in Cycle, that means a poison. So like depending on their card order, it dictates different responses every single time from you. Different predictions.
Okay, that makes sense too. And as far as like starting plays go, would you ever send in like a solo miner just to see what they do?
Yeah, so in order of preference, I would cycle Skeletons in the back, Ice Spirit at the bridge, then drop a miner on the tower. Those are my 3 things. In a competitive game, I probably would not cycle Knight in the back or cycle Electro Wizard in the back. But if I had to pick a 4th card that I would cycle, it would be Knight. It's just iffy against Expo if you cycle Knight early on. Okay,
in a deck like this, you're winning almost every match, probably 1-0, right?
Yeah, if you lose your tower, you're generally generally gonna lose unless it's it's generally gonna be 1-0.
So the reason I ask that is because obviously with a lot of decks out there, you're comfortable taking tower damage, you know, to try to exchange for a big punishing push on the other side or whatever. How much tower damage are you comfortable taking, or are you just really, really stingent on the defenses and you're not really comfortable taking any damage with this deck?
So that's a great question. Sometimes like I'll be willing to, a really big part of this deck is learning when and when not to drop your Infernos. Sometimes you do have to eat tower damage because you want to be dropping your Electro Wizard and your Knight at times where like let's say you can drop Electro Wizard plus Skeletons to kill a Hog Rider. That's 5 elixir. Same thing as dropping an Inferno. The difference between that is you're going to have an Electro Wizard and Skeletons going and counter pushing while the Inferno just sits on your side of the map. The opposite of like eating damage a little bit is just sometimes you're not going to have Skeletons and Ice Spirit or Skeletons and Electro Wizard. If you just drop Electro Wizard, you're going to kill the Hog Rider and it's going to get 1 hit, but that Electro Wizard will still go on offense. So I will make those trades to actually get a better counter push at times. Okay, so a lot of it will depend on what kind of a counter push you can get on the other end. Yeah. Also, like, you don't want to eat too much damage against certain decks like Hog Lightning. You don't really want to be dropping Electro Wizard plus like Knight very often because it's gonna get wrecked. Where an Inferno will still kind of stay up a little bit. In conjunction with Ice Spirit, you'll be able to survive a Hog Lightning generally pretty well.
Great. That's that's a perfect answer to the question there. Can we do a quick play by play? I can't speak for whatever reason. Can we do a quick play by play against the Expo deck that you shared?
Yeah, for sure. Let me know when you're in the game.
And then we'll do a live match after this. I am paused at the beginning right now. So whenever you're ready.
Count me down. I'm in the game.
3, 2, 1, play. So yeah, just kind of, I really like going over replays like this because, the pro can really kind of get inside the match and tell you where your head is at. So talk about the starting hand, I guess.
So, as I said before, I would want to be cycling Ice Spirit at the bridge or Skeletons in the back. I elect to cycle Ice Spirit in the at the bridge, and that was because you don't really want to be cycling your Knight or your Electro Wizard too early on. I do cycle my Electro Wizard in this situation, but that was just to mitigate damage. I see Mega Minion. At this point, and I saw Electro Wizard, so I'm thinking either Expo or it's gonna be Golem, and obviously he dropped an Expo. So to defend against Expo, you really want to be you want to be using your Knight, but I was able to defend this really well with a Poison and Log. Poison and Log, you Poison Log Expo, and you just make sure that the Expo doesn't lock on. You don't give them a value log. You always make sure that your Ice Spirit and your Skeletons are not in alignment with each other. So then if they try to log, they're not going to hit everything. And you just want to stagger your units so they're like all not going to the Expo immediately.
Yeah, and now that you know he's playing Expo, like what is your offensive and your defensive plan?
So basically, I'm not really playing offensive at all. It's literally just me going to be logging, poisoning out his towers while he drops Expo, and I'm going to be dropping Knight on defense and just making sure like he does not break through. I'm going to spell him out the entire game probably.
Okay,
that's generally like the safest way. That's how I played in Clash Wars against Softball and just like all my Clash Wars games against Expo.
Awesome. What archetypes along with Expo are you just going to do the same thing, just kind of like spell out basically, or is it just Siege?
It's generally just Siege, but yeah, I mean, I ended up getting a minor on the tower just because I was up Elixir, so I could actually go for a minor plus ice or minor plus Skeletons.
Yeah.
So if you're up Elixir, you can go for minors. But also another key thing against Expo is you can actually drop your minor on defense against the Expo. Drop it immediately, like on the Expo. It's always a good play.
Oh, okay, cool. So will you like minor poison the Expo? Like right here you're doing it. So that's I guess that's a yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Well, you know what? You said something cool on your stream, very interesting, definitely thought-provoking. And you said yesterday, I think I caught you saying that you think that Minor Cycle requires the most skill inside the entire game right now. So back it up. Yeah. Back up that statement. Why do you think that this is the most skillful deck in the game, Jake?
Objectively, it's one of the fastest cycling decks. That means that there's going to be a lot of interactions and a lot of decisions that you have to make because it's so quick cycling, you're placing down a lot of cards. Opposed to a Lava Lunar Golem or a tank deck, you're going to be making a lot more decisions in them. So if you make wrong decisions, they stockpile and spiral and mess you up pretty fast. Like if I cycle my Knight out of order and then they drop Graveyard and I'm sat there with an Electro Wizard that can get poisoned, Skeletons that get poisoned, and Ice Spirit, like I'm kind of going to just lose the game. So you get punished really hard by that. And I think that you just, also another thing about Minor Poison, it's reactionary. So you're not dropping a push and making your opponent conform to what you're doing and adjust to what you're doing. You have to adjust to your opponent, identify what your opponent's doing, and then make all the proper adjustments to accommodate the situation. So that's why I think it's like the hardest deck to play.
So you think it's the hardest deck to play, but obviously, I mean, in your opinion, it's one of the best tier 1 decks in the meta right now, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. B-Rad got #2 in the world with it, and he did not lose a single game all of last season, like the last 2 days.
That's so crazy, man.
I watched him play. He did not lose a single game, and that was what it kind of inspired me to.
Yeah, you're like, I gotta try it.
So many games.
Yep. Now, is there something that between, we're going to hop into a live match in a second here, but is there something between when you first picked up the deck and now that looking back, you would say to yourself, man, I wish I had known this, or I wish I didn't do this early on. Like, what was I thinking? Or I wish I was more aware of this. Is there something like that applies to this deck?
There are two things that are pretty big. The first thing is realizing when you're down elixir. If you're down elixir against like a tank deck, like if you're playing against Lava Loon, like if you're down like 5 or 6 elixir, or if you're down like 4 elixir, you can't actually push the opposite lane and pressure them with like a knight, or you can't pressure them with like a miner. You actually have to just sit, go same lane and defend.
Okay, wow, that's important.
Yeah, it's really big.
Because we're so used to going opposite lane, against tanks.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of cards like you can't really afford to cycle your Electro Wizard most of the time against Lava Loon because you're going to need the Electro Wizard on defense. Another thing that I thought was really big is just noticing, like, obviously pay attention when you lose a game. Don't get frustrated. Look at the game and realize, I guess I cycled my knight out of card order, and that was one of the biggest mistakes for my loss. There's always going to be a rhyme and reason for your loss with this deck, and that's the biggest thing for me. I don't like looking at games and being like, hey, I guess I could have card ordered better.
Yeah.
This is like, I guess I cycled something incorrectly because it's so fast. You can always get to the appropriate cycle unless you actually just mess it up yourself. And that's something that I like.
That's a good point, and that's why I love having you on too, Tag, is because you're one of those players, like you said, that you don't make excuses. You go back and you look at the gameplay and think about what you could have done differently, and that's something that not even you'd be surprised that not all the pros out there do. Sometimes they just grind and that's it. But can we hop into a live match, man?
Yeah, let's go for it. I'm at 9-2
I ran out of
right
replays.
I was 9-2 testing 3Ms. Let's see what else.
All right, 9-2, baby. Let's go for win number 10 here. When you're to start out here, when you're watching a replay, what are you specifically looking for? Just like big mistakes that you made?
I look at all the interactions that I do, and if I lose the game, I'm gonna look back at where he got his tower damage, and then I'll like either go back and watch it if I don't catch what I already did wrong. All right, he's got Mega Minion and he's got Ice Spirit. This is probably gonna be Expo.
Expo, baby.
Fireball, yep. Expo it is.
So now you're gonna keep that knight in hand.
Well, it's already out of cycle, but
I mean, from here on out.
from here on out, correct? Yeah. All right, so I'm cycling my I cycle my skeletons. That's gonna die. I'm gonna have to log it actually.
What do you think the most difficult matchup is for this deck?
Bowler, Baby Dragon, Tornado. I shared a replay of it. Yeah. It's difficult, but it's definitely winnable.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those decks where you can really, if played well, like you said about, B-Rad and stuff, you can pretty much win every match, right? I mean...
Yeah, definitely.
Not to sound cheesy and clickbaity, but win every match!
As you saw there, I cycled Miner, and I was able to defend the Expo pretty well. So that
Do you ever switch things up and send the Miner into the tower instead, making them think that you're going to send it to the Expo?
That's what I do when I know that they can't switch lanes anymore, but he can switch lanes. So if he's a really good player, he's going to switch lanes once I get more damage on that side.
And he's an MIT ninja, so he's got to be
He's going to probably be decent. Yeah.
He's going to be so smart.
That's why I hate playing Expo on ladder, because it's always a draw.
That is true. Every time I go against Expo or Mortar, I feel like crap.
Oh, I actually have to drop my knight. It's all good, though. I still have Miner in cycle, and I have poison, and I'm up elixir. I'm up a lot of elixir, actually. All right, we're going to be dropping Electro Wizard. And, yeah, I'm up so much elixir. He just cycled an Electro Wizard and a Mega Minion, so I was up so much right there. That was literally 7 elixir for him, and I was just cycling cheap cards. My knight's going to do really well right there. We're going to drop skeletons to make sure it locks onto the skeletons. He's probably going to log that. We're going to get back to knight.
Perfect. Wow, what a fast cycle that was.
It's OP, man.
That's crazy.
Expo, when you realize just to defend it, you don't want to play too aggressive. Like, I'm not going opposite lane. I'm just playing, I'm steadily playing the game, not overcommitting. And that's like the biggest thing with this deck.
Yep.
You're going to learn, after playing it a lot, you're going to learn the situations that you can and can't overcommit. or like where you could overcommit. I did the skeleton placement, but he's gonna drop Ice Spirit, so that was skeletons were gonna clean up the Electro Wizard from full health, but it wasn't actually gonna work there because he dropped the Ice Spirit. It would have been
Now,
nice to see that.
when you know that he's defending with Goblin Gang, would you ever do a preemptive poison, or are you saving that for Expo or a better situation?
I'm generally going to be saving it for Expo, but I was able to get away with it there because I'm going to be able to cycle back to it, honestly. I'm not too scared.
Cool, calm, and collected, man. It's funny, we were talking... Well, I'll wait till this match is over before I start blabbing.
Yeah, it's all good. I'm just gonna minor poison him out soon.
Yep. So do you feel like this deck, obviously you're very comfortable going into overtime with this deck. There's no big rush to it. Do you find that most matches do go into overtime, especially against other good players?
Against other good players, generally most games are pretty long, yeah.
Yeah, because it's kind of
Expo,
like...
it's incredibly long, honestly.
Yep. And that's going to do it, my friend. Good job.
Thanks, man. It was a pretty good game, honestly.
Yeah, I felt like that too. Did I already show the replay against the bowler? Or you already shared that, right?
Yeah, I did. I believe it's the next one.
I wasn't even paying attention to what I was playing in the background. But hey, man, well, dude, I feel like I know the deck a lot better now. Are there any final, words of advice about the deck or anything like that before I let you go?
Yeah, so obviously a lot of decks are having Tornado right now. You want to be, as I said, you want to be very cautious about how you play. You don't want to be dropping a minor in the back or in anywhere but the initial placement if you're actually going to cycle minor at the start. And that's why it's really important to play this deck a lot, so then you're able to identify, or just play the game a lot, so you're able to identify which decks would probably have Tornado or not. If I see Zap Bait, it's probably not going to have Tornado. But if I see like a Bowler, or if I see an Executioner, like it's probably going to have Tornado. So I'm going to be very weird, like I'm going to be very like cautious.
Can we do a quick friendly battle and you can show us exactly where you drop your minor?
Yeah, sure.
Like maybe on the just like show me on just a couple of minor cycles and maybe just show me some ideal placement if that's cool.
Okay, so I
like
have
on your
right
first
now.
Minor when you don't know if they have Tornado, then a minor when you know they have Tornado, and then whatever.
All right, so this is the ideal minor placement that actually can't get killed by, or it can't get pulled by Tornado at all. So that's generally what I'm going to be doing.
So that would be your first minor if you have no idea, or if you know they're running Tornado or suspect.
Yeah, definitely. It's also like another big thing is realizing when they have like Night and Cycle or not. So if they don't have Night and Cycle, like if they're running like Night and Skeletons, I generally go for poisons like preemptively or preemptive logs because I know that I'm going to try to hit Skeletons because that's really their only thing to catch the minor.
Okay. So you'll do a minor in front of the tower then?
Yeah. Like I would.
And then minor log and hope to catch the Skeletons or whatever?
Yeah, definitely. There are a lot of situations that you just have to be understanding of your opponent's card cycle and then either poison or log to actually get the minor on the tower. All right, let me cycle to it really quick.
Yeah, sure.
So then another really cool placement for the minor is, I don't know if you know this placement right here, if they don't have Tornado, obviously, but mixing up your minor placements, front tile of the tower as well, like just go down. And if you're just playing it directly like in the middle of the tower, in the back middle, it's a lot more susceptible to being guessed. But if you pick the corners, it's a lot harder for your opponent to continuously guess the minor. And switching up the minor, switching up the minor placement is key for like just being really good with minor and just getting your minor successfully on the tower. So I would switch it up like right here, and it's really important to do. So your opponent doesn't like guess it.
And you can see even with my knight there, because you kind of nailed it there on the corner, you were able to avoid him.
Yeah, definitely. And that's probably like another huge thing. There's just a lot of mechanical small things that people will get by playing the deck a lot.
Awesome, man. Well, I feel like we've learned quite a bit from you, as we always do. So just wanted to thank you again for coming on. Again, guys, you should definitely check out his YouTube channel, and especially those matches from CR Worlds that we talked about a little bit in today's video. So yeah, check it out, man. You won't go wrong on Jake's YouTube. Obviously, his Twitch as well, if you guys are into watching streamers. And Jake, dude, you're also a from Massachusetts and Massachusetts native. We need to have a freaking East Coast event, man.
Yeah, it's got to happen. It's
What's up with that? No love to the East Coast.
It's got to happen.
It's got to happen. We got to do something ourselves or something, have like a meetup or something. I don't know.
I'm down to whenever. Yeah, definitely.
Let's make it happen. But
I'm free this summer.
Yeah, absolutely. Any final shout outs, any final words, anything like that, man?
Yeah, so we just recently started a competitive Nova clan, Nova Team TM, and if you guys have any questions or if you guys actually want to apply to it, there's Pompeo, there's myself, there's Hazard, there's all the top Nova tournament players, Adam, Jigsaw, everyone's in there. If anyone listening wants to be a part of that clan, check out my Twitter, there's applications there, and it's a really great environment. It's going to be almost akin to, it's going to be like an environment that Mastery GG had, and it's going to be a lot of people just trying to get better constantly, striving to always striving to get better with each other. And that's a big part of this game, is always being on Discord calls with other people, getting constructive criticism when you don't actually like know what you did wrong with a deck. And that's one of the biggest things for improving, in my opinion.
Awesome, man. I agree with you. I totally can relate to how well Mastery did things in terms of, I never took part in their practices, but just seeing them from afar, man, that was top notch, you know, best of the best in terms of the organization. So to hear that you guys are doing that, man, the rich get richer is all I can say, yeah. Dude. Nova is stacked right now. So you guys definitely should check them out if you want to apply. Like Tag said, check out his Twitter, and you can probably apply there.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
All right, well, thanks for coming on, man. All right, so guys, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Check out my YouTube partner, Bren Chong. You can find his information in the description below as well. Guys, thank you. As always, take care, guys.